He's Kaminsky. Bucket good in the ball.
Santel all the way to the basket. Foul. Lays it in for two.
Happy holidays, basketball fans. Welcome to another edition of the Upstate Hoops Podcast. I'm Jim Sinicropi here inside the FingerLakes1.com studios on the third floor of the North Park building in Seneca Falls, New York, for our weekly roundup of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball on Sunday, December 30th, 2018. It's the last episode of the year. And we've already had a lot of great basketball action here in the late 2018, and 2019 should be even better. So for this episode, we're going to look back at the holiday tournaments from the past week. We're going to take a look at next week's schedule, which doesn't get underway until Wednesday with the New Year's holiday on Monday and Tuesday. And we'll let you know where we're going to be next week in terms of live games. And I got some bold predictions for 2019 that I'll share with you. Wayne Finger Lakes Power Rankings, of course, will be released at the end of the show. So no guests today, just me winding down the this is the last podcast of the year, period, here on Finger Lakes 1 from inside the studios here in Seneca Falls, New York. A little snow on the ground this morning when we woke up. Got the driveway cleared off and got in here on a Sunday morning to talk basketball with you. Should let you know the Upstate Hoops Podcast and all our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Generations Bank. The newest way to save money is also the easiest way to save money with the new MyGen Perks mobile app. Get all the details at mygenbank.com. And Little John Orthodontics. Dr. Rod Littlejohn and Dr. Liz Barbie are proud to support our area high school athletes. Check out Dr. Rod and Dr. Liz online at littlejohnortho.com. And by Bill Cram Chevrolet. All roads lead to Bill Cram Chevrolet on 5 and 20 between Seneca Falls and Waterloo. Browse their full inventory of new and used vehicles at billcramchevrolet.com. So I can't think of a better way to get started with this show than talk about the action in Geneva this weekend on Friday and Saturday for the Geneva Holiday Hoops Classic. Of course, the opener of that game, of that tournament, the first night was streamed live on FingerLakes1.com, and it featured the most anticipated game of the year so far. That would be Northstar Christian and Lyons. And so why was that such an anticipated game? Well, for a lot of reasons. For one reason, Northstar Christian went to the state Final Four in Binghamton, lost by 1 point to Lake George in the state final last year, and they returned a lot of their key players, most notably Miles Brown, his brother Michael Brown, and they on the road to Binghamton, they ended Lions season. Lions and Northstar Christian both defending sectional champs, Lions in C2, Northstar Christian in C1. And they met in the state qualifier for Class C last year in Honeoye Falls, Lima. Finger Lakes 1 was there for that one, of course. And it was really a pretty impressive performance by Northstar Christian last year, winning, I can't think off the top of my head. I think it might have been 85-67. Might have been the score of that one. But so what changed from last year to this year? Well, Northstar lost one of their better players in Matt Medeiros. Lions got a little more experienced, I suppose, this year's team. They have some talented players that are sophomores now that came up from JVs this year. Justice Smith, the senior, but same side of things, Miles and Michael Brown also seniors, and Ryan Garwood, who was a contributor to that team, great shooter, coach's son, is an 8th grader, was now a freshman. Anyway, a lot of reasons to get excited about the rematch, and we certainly were. And we weren't alone, because the gym in Geneva's brand new gym, which I'm calling the Panther Den until somebody tells me different, was absolutely jam-packed, capacity, and a lot of times we say it was at capacity, But this literally was at capacity. They turned people away at the door. There were people that came to that game thinking, oh, yeah, I'll go check out some high school basketball. That should be a good game to check out. And they got to the front gate, and they said, sorry, you're too late. We can't allow any more people into the gymnasium. So, yeah, just a really, really highly anticipated game, and it didn't disappoint. It was amazing, actually. And another reason to get excited about this game was that Miles Brown of Northstar Christian entered the weekend just 64 points away from becoming Section 5's all-time leading scorer. See, a lot of players have played basketball in Section 5, and Miles Brown it was inevitable, barring some sort of injury, that he was going to break that record. Question was he going to do it in Geneva? Could he score 64 points over the 2 days in Geneva? I won't kill the suspense. I'll kill the suspense here. If you didn't know, he did. He broke it not against Lyons. He didn't score 64 against Lyons, but he did score 40 against Lyons, and then 31 yesterday against Geneva, en route to winning that tournament. To become Section 5's all-time leading scorer. And we talked to him after the Lions game. I'll play that interview for you in just a second here, but talk a little bit more about the game, the first half of that doubleheader on Friday. Northstar Christian won 88-84. Lions had the ball under 10 seconds left, down 1 with a chance to win. Or actually, it would be down 2 with a chance to win. And Miles Brown stripped the ball from Tootie Smith, was fouled, made a couple free throws, game over. But back and forth, these guys went at each other. Northstar led for the majority of the first half before Lions went on a run and ended up taking a 4-point lead into the halftime break. And then out of the halftime break, Northstar Christian opened up a lead again, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. And then Lions came pushing back again. Northstar answered. Lions came pushing back again at the very end. Falls 1 point short. Miles Brown and Justice Smith. Everybody's looking to check out that matchup. And Miles with 40. I had Justice Smith for 30. I saw somewhere else where it was 36. Or I had Justice Smith for 39. And really, you can talk. I've heard a lot of people say, man, I watched that webcast. It wasn't much defense being played, but I don't know what kind of defense it would take to stop either one of these guys. Miles Brown can get to the basket whenever he wants. He has a great shot from beyond the arc, very crafty, an amazing Euro step. I don't think I've seen a high school player with a better Euro step than he does, where it almost looks like he's traveling, but he's really not, as he's weaving in and out of defenders on his way to the basket, where more often than not he finishes. His brother Michael Brown had 14 points. Sean Smith may have been the difference in that game for Northstar with 14 points. A couple of big back-to-back three-pointers. And Ryan Garwood had 11. Lyons was really paying attention to him. He wasn't able to get too many open looks from 3. And when he was forced to move inside the arc, he wasn't too effective shooting. And for Lyons, as I mentioned, Justice with 39. Justin Smith, his sophomore brother, 17. David Weaver with 10. Aaron Romero, great game, finished with 7. Some huge rebounds, some great steals. Really impressive game for Aram. And then Benji Kemp, 7 points, but also just fighting for every rebound on the floor. Great workmanlike effort as usual from Benji Kemp, who's now, I think, finally about 100% healthy after starting the season with a foot injury. And Justin Smith is just a sophomore, had a great game. I mentioned 17 points, but he was getting to the basket. He was finishing. I only have one gripe with this game, and late in the fourth quarter, man, Justin Smith is not scared. He will take the shots, no matter the situation. He was ready to go. Fortunately, I thought that if I'm his older brother, the senior, Justice Smith, man, after that game, I'm like, man, give me the ball at the end of the game. Next year, when you're a junior and you're a senior and I'm gone, that's when you're going to take those big shots. great to see the youngster wanting those shots and not shying from the big stage. But especially that last possession, and Justice passed off. He drove baseline. Thought he might have had a shot to put it up. Not a great angle on the baseline, but he was probably about 5-6 feet away from the rim and kicked it out to brother Tootie. Tootie drove. Miles Brown stripped him, and that was that. So that's my only analysis of that game, was looking at things that maybe Lions could have been different. This is Justice's team, and in games like that, Justice needs to take, all the shots, unless they're going to throw 2 or 3 guys on him, and Justice is willing to dump it off. But definitely Justice's team here, senior campaign. And next year for Lions, it'll be Justin Tootie Smith. It'll be his team along with the other sophomores, Amir James and Horace Betts. And then, of course, Benji Kemp will be a senior next year. But like I said, it didn't disappoint, and it didn't make me think the fact that Lions lost that game didn't make me think any less of Lions. As a matter of fact, I feel a little more confident about Lions' ability to win sectionals and make a run in states this year. Regardless of what happened, we knew Lions is going to probably end up winning the Wayne County League this year. As a matter of fact, there's not too many tests left on the schedule where you really think Lions isn't going to be a double-digit favorite. So I had Lions as an underdog in this game, given what happened last year, the margin last year. And, I think that if that game was to be played again, it would be a pick. Lions fell behind, came back every time. Miles Brown is the leading scorer in Section 5 history, but it's tough to say that he was definitely the best player on the court that day. Justice was amazing. Big 3-point shots. He can shoot over everybody because he's got the ball, up high in a quick release, balanced, really under control. He got to the rim whenever he wanted and finished probably better than anybody, maybe in all of Section 5, that kid can finish at the rim. And I'm not just talking about dunks. I'm talking about, he's driving the lane left side, right side, elevating over his defender and banking it in from 5-6 feet. It was amazing, and the crowd was amazing. It was loud. It was boisterous. The crowd was on their feet for a lot of that game. Really tough game to referee, I think, if you're a ref. I do, and we criticize refs a lot too during our broadcasts. We think we saw a call different than they did, and maybe we shouldn't do that because the majority of the referees that we see throughout the season are experienced and great refs. And man, I can't think of anything tougher than reffing in a game like that. So, great accommodations from Geneva. New AD Nate Schnedenbecker had us all set up on the baseline. At Geneva, we got a little room behind where we set up, where we can set up our production equipment, have our broadcasters outside of there. The only thing in a game like that, where it was so crowded, we were by the exit entrance. There's one main entrance and exit to the gymnasium, and they were overflowing all around our broadcast table. People looking over at our stat sheets to see how many points that Justice or Miles scored, or a lot of familiar faces, that wanted to say hello while we're on the air. And that's another great thing about Wayne Finger Lakes basketball and a night like Friday night. Everybody turned out. Alumni from Lions, and not only Lions, but from a lot of former players around the Wayne Finger Lakes. At halftime of that game, we interviewed Devin Veter from Lions and Tyler Collins. Derek Chance from Clyde was there. Nick Farah I saw from Lions, one of the players, one of my favorite players, I suppose, from the history of Lions since we've been covering it. Saw some college coach. A lot of college coaches were there. Big-time college coaches, too, in terms of D1. Monmouth had a representative there to check out Miles Brown. He's got an offer from I know he's got an offer from Stony Brook, from Central Arkansas, Monmouth as well. I think he's might be holding out to see, what else is going to come down the pike here to get to the end of the season. But certainly 100% Division I player. And that makes me wonder, too, honestly, who's looking at Justice Smith? And, I could see him at the top of that Syracuse zone. It's 6'4", 6'5". I think maybe one reason that he's not getting the looks is maybe they're not liking his defense, or I really don't get it. Justice Smith, again, it's tough to say Miles Brown is definitely the best player in Section 5. When you look at Justice Smith might be the best player in Section 5 right now. So, and he has some more physical attributes, I suppose, than Miles does in terms of his height and his size. He's big. But, oh, man, that game was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And then, unfortunately, for the host, Geneva, when they come out to play second game against Rochester Prep, obviously not as big of a game, not necessarily because Geneva's not, it's not on Geneva's side, but Rochester Prep, didn't get too many people excited. I think they're 2-6 or 2-7 coming into this game. And so the gym cleared out quite a bit. In such a big gym, there was still a good crowd there for Geneva, but it was just a stark contrast to the game before it. And credit to Geneva, they came out and pretty much rolled up Rochester Prep from the beginning, with Coach Miller playing almost everybody on his roster and spreading it around quite a bit. Christian Tapscott had 13 points. He was our Cicino's Pizza Player of the game, and came over post-game to talk to us, and real good interview there. Reed Patchett, 13 points, 8 rebounds. Jagger Kerr, 13 points. Liam Ryan, 7.6 steals in that one. Liam Ryan can't be underestimated, his importance to that team. He's a calming influence out there, knows the system. And when I watch Geneva play, it's fun to see the different sets they run and the different things they do to try to get guys like Reed Patchett the ball in a favorable situation. And a defensive team, and it's funny because Christian Tapscott, when we talked about their chances against Northstar the following night, he said, well, we just got to come out and play Geneva basketball. I said, well, what do you mean? What's Geneva basketball to you? And he said, defense, half-court game, and sometimes that type of approach is a tough sell for high school kids, but Brian Miller's group is buying in. This group has been with him since 4th grade. They know the system, and maybe a casual basketball fan would not be too excited about watching Geneva play, but I think that most coaches or hardcore basketball fans really can appreciate some of the stuff that they do out there. And so they won 60-39, which brings us to the next night, Saturday. Lions beat Rochester Prep 96-71. It was tied in the first half, late in the first half. Lions, I think, took a 4-point lead into halftime, which was shocking because Lions is much better than Rochester Prep. And they proved it in the second half, pulling away 96-71. Justice Smith, 42 points. 42. So, tournament high for Justice. 39 and 42 back-to-back nights. Aaron Romero, 16 points. David Weaver, 14. Horace Betts, the fourth, 8 points. As Lions split on the weekend 1-1, which brought us to the title game, the championship game, and the fans turned out for this one. It was a full house for the title game, and Geneva was leading after the first quarter and leading at halftime, I believe, and then Northstar kind of made a run in the third quarter and opened things up, and Geneva was able to pull it back to within 1 at one point in the fourth. But in the end, Miles Brown, too much. Northstar Christian wins the Holiday Classic in Geneva 68-59. 31 points for Miles Brown, 8 steals. He did become the all-time leading scorer in Section 5 history, and they stopped the game. Tons of media, tons of love for Miles Brown on social media. If you go to the front page of Finger Lakes 1 and read our nightly recap, you'll see a lot of those tweets. Sean Smith, another big night for Northstar, 20 points, 7 assists. Michael Brown, 5.6 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 steals. Then on Geneva's side of things, and this is where Northstar could struggle against a team like Wayne in A2, a team with some size, because Akeem Hudson had 16 points and 18 rebounds. Reed Patchett had 16 points in that game. A couple of big guys obviously gave the Knights of Northstar some real trouble. Oh, man, I hope we get that Northstar Wayne game at some point in the sectional playoffs for A2. How about in the Blue Cross Arena for the finals? That would be all right by me. I would love that. Jagger Kerr with another nice night, 10 points, 5 assists. Dante Reed, 4.7 assists. The thing about Geneva is they're really, really deep. I mentioned he played a lot of guys. And when you watch them, they have 4 or 5 junior guards out there that all kind of look the same build, same size, whether it's Kerr, Bossard, Askin, or Liam Ryan. But they all run the system to a T. They know it. They believe in it. And they aren't, I don't think any of those kids is worried about their points total. They're just running the system. And I think Geneva's better than people think. I think people have been conditioned to think Geneva is not going to be as good because of the last few years. It's really been tough since that sectional title in 2014 for Geneva. I think that this year's different. Off to a good start. And as I did mention during the game, history was made. Northstar senior point guard Miles Brown became Section 5's all-time leading scorer, surpassing Dansville's Neil Weedman, who set the mark in 1993, finishing his career with 2,441 points. And guess what? Weedman was there. He was in the house to see it, and they had pictures taken after. Really cool, really cool. Of course, he set the mark in 19. He's my age. Cool that he would turn out for that, to see Miles Brown break his record that stood for 25 years. Miles Brown was 15 of 16 from the free throw line. You know, as I mentioned, 71 points on the weekend, giving him 2,449 points and counting on the season with plenty of games left to play. Like, I think he's going to make a run at 3,000. He could, you know, let's say Lance Stevenson. Now let's talk New York State scoring list. Lance Stevenson is number 2 all-time with 2,946 points, and that's less than 500 away from Brown. So depending on how many postseason games they play, Miles Brown could get 3,000. He could surpass Lance Stevenson. Probably not going to get number 1. Does anybody know a little trivia? Who's number 1 in New York State? I'll give you a hint. He's still playing. And I'll give you another hint. He's committed to play basketball at Syracuse next year. I'm talking about Joe Girard III. So probably not going to catch Girard, but has a chance to catch, you know, Lance Stevenson, NBA player. So really good stuff. Great way to, you know, wind down the year, I suppose. And I've talked probably about enough about that weekend in Geneva. We have other stuff to talk about. But before we do, like I said, I was lucky enough to get Miles Brown into our broadcast booth in Geneva for the post-game show, the Little John Orthodontics post-game show, where Kevin Sharp and I had a chance to talk to him. The night before, he broke the record. And what a great kid. That's the other thing about this stuff. Really, really nice, thoughtful, respectful, intelligent, well-spoken. Can't say enough about Miles Brown. So here, have a listen for yourself. Let me cue this up, and you can check it out. Miles Brown on the Little John Orthodontics post-game show on Friday night.
Get this in there. Looking good. Okay, so hey, joined here on the Little John Orthodontics Smiles with Style post-game show with our player of the game, Miles Brown. Unofficially, I have you for 40 points. And were you looking forward to this game as much as everybody else was?
Going into this game, we knew it was going to be a hype game. their fans were amazing, loud fan base. And going into this game, we knew it was going to be tough. A great opponent, Lyons, and a very good AGR player being Justin Smith. We knew going in forward that this was going to be a dogfight, and we fought through adversity, and we came out victorious.
Miles, I got to tell you, I've been following high school basketball for the last 45 years, and, being the leading scorer in Section 5 coming up, God willing, I'm just so impressed with how you're able to put the ball in the basket, but more impressed with how you carry yourself on the court. I mean, you don't get caught up in the junk, and the theatrics, the talking, and you, of all people, could do it, but you just don't do it. I mean, I'm really a credit to your parents for the upbringing. It's a pleasure watching you play.
Yeah, part of that is just having Northstar Christian across my jersey. Carrying that around is just like a big banner to everybody. They watch what I'm doing, and when they see Christian, they kind of hold me to a different standard. My parents tell me to stay above reproach on the court and off the court and carry myself respectively.
Well, you're doing it.
Hey, you absolutely do. Got to ask you, too, I noticed there were some scouts and some college coaches here. I've heard that Stony Brook's offered you. I've heard about Monmouth, Central Arkansas or something. Tell us a little bit about what you're thinking about heading into, college.
I have no clue what I'm going to do for college yet. A few colleges have reached out. Stony Brook offered. Monmouth just came to watch. I'm not sure. I have no clue what I'm going to do for college next year, and I'm just looking forward to just making a great one and then seeing all my choices going into college.
So all the way to the state finals in Class C last year, and the competition community moved you way up to A2. How do you feel about that move?
Going into this season, we knew we were going to get moved up. We just didn't know where. Was it going to be
right.
A or B? I thought it was going to be B, but when I heard we were going to be A, our mindset, the team's mindset never changed. We just focused on winning the championship, and that's all we want to do is just win.
Well, you're certainly doing a lot of winning. You just improved to 6-0 on the season. Up next is a trip to our tomorrow night. You'll play the winner of our next game between Rochester Prep and Geneva. Then at Aquinas, McKeel Christian, UPrep. It's a tough schedule you guys play, rightfully so, to get you ready for the postseason in A2. And Sharp, any last questions for Miles before we let him go?
No, where do you see you guys fitting in as far as the A2 class?
Oh, I see myself as the number one seed. Going in, I have a lot of confidence in my guys. I've been part of this program for 5 years now, and I know what our guys can do. I've seen the other teams, a lot of good teams in A2, but I believe we're the number one team, and we're going to have
two-time defending A2 champs, Wayne Eagles. Have you seen them play?
No, I haven't. I know Logan, good friends with him. We grew up playing basketball together. A great player. We're going to have a tough game going against them if we end up seeing each other in sections.
Well, next time you're down this way in the Waterloo, Geneva area, you get yourself a free large pizza from Cicino's Pizzeria. Miles Brown, our Cicino's player of the game. There you go.
Thank you.
And a really pleasure watching you play. Congratulations the rest of the way, and maybe we'll see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we're going to step aside. When we come back, Game 2 of our doubleheader. You're watching Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball on FingerLakes1.com.
Yeah, I love it. Man, one of my favorite things about what we do at Finger Lakes 1 is when we get to get kids in the studio or on our post-game show, and we get to see kind of how they react, and more often than not, they're impressive. They seem to be, the high school athlete, the good high school athlete. I think some of the experiences that you get in committing to a team and, practicing, in and off season, lends itself to the type of individual that is going to be thoughtful and well-spoken and confident. But I love when we get kids, like I say, get a chance to interview kids and see how they're going to respond. And more often than not, they're very, very impressive. And Miles Brown was no exception. So congratulations, Miles. You made history on Saturday night in Geneva, and you're going to add to that total, and that record could stand for some time. So again, move on from talking about Geneva, but what a weekend that was. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So a lot of other action throughout the leagues, boys and girls. I'm going to run through it real quick here. Great holiday season for Mid-Lakes. heading into the Christmas break, I didn't think we were going to talk too much about Mid-Lakes this season anymore, but they won the Lions Club tournament. They beat Williamson 53-40. Actually, that was not all that impressive to me, that win. An East team going against one of the bottom teams in Wayne County. Matt Mattoon had 24 points. Trevor Van Ostran had 9. Ryan Spingler had 8. Kyle McCann had 8. Adam Fisk led the way for Williamson with 14. But then coming back in the title game, they beat Red Jacket 77-74. And Red Jacket, one of the, I don't want to say surprises, but one of the top teams in the Finger Lakes West. So good win there. And there was some scoring in that one too. Matt Mattoon, 38 points. So keep scoring 38, and you're might win some games in the East as well. Kyle McCann with 16, Spengler with 11. For Red Jacket, Matt Record, 28. Matt Record is a name you're probably going to hear a lot about going forward second half of the season. Chase Rizzo, 26. And then Red Jacket came back and beat Marion, also 77-35. Waterloo played one game over break. And they were like the darling of the pre-Christmas break Wayne Finger Lakes action with their wins over Minders and Newark, rising to number 3 in our power rankings. But Grease Odyssey really handed it to them. And this was a game that was at Waterloo, 69-52. And that's one thing that concerns me with this Waterloo team is inconsistency. And now seeing how they're going to react after, another tough loss. They lost to both Olympia and Odyssey this year. Pretty bad. Sluka had 19. Derek Sluka. Julian Ruiz had 12. Kyle Sluka had 12. Eric Williams, a lot of Minders fans will remember him from the sectional semifinals last year. Really big physical presence. 17 points to lead Odyssey. And why is that concerning other just than Waterloo, losing? They're in B1 with Waterloo. So Waterloo, if they want to win their first sectional title since 1972, they obviously got to get back to work here because there's a good chance they could face Odyssey again and get 17-point win for Odyssey Saturday in Waterloo. A little interesting crossover between Clyde Savannah and South Seneca at the Jack Guinan. This week, Clyde Savannah won 68-57. Cam Chance, 21 points. Jordan Cooley, 21 points. 7 3-pointers. Jaden McKinney, 19 points. South Seneca's Anthony Reff had 22 points and 6 rebounds. This freshman, Nate Knowles, had 18. Matt Kenyon had 11. Penn Yan had a nice win against Waco, 64-48. Then a tough loss to Hornell, 45-40. So split mixed bag for Penn Yan this week. The Miners Blue Devils trying to get better. Young team with a great senior leader. A couple of seniors in the front court with Sal Franzone, and then, of course, Darren Miller, likely to be a Fab 5 player this year. They beat Caddo Meridian in the opener, 58-47 in his tournament in Skinny Atlas. Darren Miller had 26 points and 13 rebounds. Sal Franzone had 13 points. And then they come back against Skinny Atlas, state-ranked team in Class B. And Skinny Atlas kind of handed it to him 59-35. I talked to Coach Korzeniewski about it, and his main takeaway was that it was just like that Penn Yan game. They just didn't seem to be the same team. Now, Skinny Atlas probably better than Penn Yan. Beat Minders 59-35. Jake Smith with 8 points and Darren Miller with only 8. And that's kind of the difference in these games. The Penn Yan game and now this Skinny Atlas game is they held Miller in check. And if Darren Miller scores 8 points, Miners going to lose every single time. They're not going to be anybody if Darren Miller scoring 8 points. But again, I look at this Minders team and I still think that if they show consistent improvement leading up to the postseason, that they very well could make some noise and potentially win a sectional title in B2. So, I hope the guys just keep working, and we'll see what happens. Newark's down at the Josh Palmer tournament in Elmira. They got a nice win over Elmira Notre Dame, 50-39. 6 3-pointers from Jaden Peters, 20 points. Devin Augusto, 12 points. Mason Vandermortel, 11. Newark plays later today, at 3:15 in that tournament title game. So Now let's look at some girls action. Newark versus Marion. Interesting. Marion undefeated, Newark at the bottom of the Finger Lakes East, but I think they got some girls back. They had some issues where some girls faced suspension earlier this year, and I think some of those girls are back, making Newark a little better team than they had been. But Marion impressive, getting that win against a Finger Lakes East opponent. They're still undefeated. They won 49-43. Newark did get a nice win over Northstar. This is their first win of the year, actually, for the Lady Reds, 64-20. Caleb Bryant, 15 points. Caitlin Chopin, 12.7 assists. Hannah Fisher, 12 points. Isabella Santel, 11 points. Minders girls. Nice week for the Minders girls. They go to Red Creek. Not an easy place to play. Again, another FL East Wayne County matchup, and they really took it to Red Creek, 58-27. And not only a big week for Minders, but a big week for Sarah Koberger. The Devils looking for. Look, they have a lot of really good players, but they need to step up if they're going to be sectional contenders. Same kind of way that Haley Case stepped up in her senior year. To lead them to a sectional title. And Sarah Koberger, 21 points, 12 rebounds in that game against Red Creek. Bridget Miller, just a sophomore, 8.6 rebounds. She's Heidi Miller's younger sister. Maddie Barnett, 4 points, 4 assists, 6 steals. They held Izzy Wilbur to just 6 points as they rolled at Red Creek. And then they hosted Lyons. And the Lyons girls, a lot of East Wayne County matchups this week. Lions girls off to a good start. Minders took care of business at Arthur L. Baker, though, 57-42. And another second straight double-double from Sarah Koberger, 17 points, 13 rebounds. Caitlin Korzaneski, that's the daughter of Coach Kevin Korzaneski, 12 points, 5 rebounds. Maddie Barnett, 8 steals. Mary Dole, we haven't said her name a lot this year, 9 rebounds. Of course, one of the best soccer players in the Wayne Finger Lakes. She's another, her stepping up, providing some offense could be another boost for Minders here as the girls, continue on here with their push towards, the Finger Lakes East play and then postseason. Geneva's record's been disappointing, but they play a really tough schedule, and that was no different when they played Edison Tech. They lost 74-44. But then they come back with a nice 1-point win over Churchville Chili, 36-35. Penn Yan girls are another one of those teams kind of on the cusp of, you're not really sure what we're getting yet. Nice win out of Odessa down there in Schuyler County, Section 4, 46-42. Jenna Kerbo had 12 points and 10 rebounds. Jody Decker had 10. Jamie Decker had 8 points, 8 rebounds. Haley Langen, the transfer, I suppose, from Naples, 8 points and 8 rebounds. And then some other games. HAC got a nice win at Williamson, 47-37, behind 10 points from Zoe Crago. And the South Seneca girls keep rolling on, 83-27 over CG Finney. Jenna McDonald, 16 points and 8 assists. Logan Shawless, 16 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 6 steals. Holy. It's a lot of assists between those two girls, but that's the way South Seneca plays. You're going to see some assists. You're going to see some steals. Haley Bentley had 11. Jade Parsons had 10 points and 8 rebounds. And South Seneca went on to win that tournament, defeating HAC 66-29. And the Waterloo Lady Indians had been on the upswing. Tough matchup against Honeoye Falls Lima on the road, 48-41. They lost that game to Honeoye Falls Lima. So, okay. Before we do anything else, let's look at the new power rankings, okay? Let me pull them up here for us. Let's start with the girls or the boys? Let's start with the girls. And Midlake's still number 1. Not much change here, actually. Midlake's 1, South Seneca 2, Wayne 3, Marion undefeated 4. Now, we say, why wouldn't Marion, an undefeated team, really good team out of Wayne County, be ahead of Wayne or maybe even South Seneca? Well, I think that win over Newark is an example why. Newark, bottom of the Finger Lakes East, Marion, very top of the Wayne County League, and it was just what I think it was a 4 or 5 point win. Generally, girls basketball especially, there's a gap between Wayne County and the Finger Lakes East. And in some regards, Wayne County and the Finger Lakes West as well. So not saying we're not impressed with Marion. I just think that if they played one of the top teams in the East, they'd be underdogs. Palmac, good example of that. They're 5th. Gananda Marion going to be battling for that Wayne County title. Marion already, did they beat Gananda once? I think they did. I think they played and Marion won. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. But Gananda comes in at 6. Waterloo falls 1 spot to 7. Minders at 8. Remember, Waterloo beat Minders. Geneva had fallen out. They're back in at 9. They might continue to rise up here now that league play's underway. We'll see how they do in some of the league matchups. And then Lyons at 10 rounded out that top 10. And now, how about the boys? Last week, Lyons was number 1. Wayne was number 2. This week, Wayne's number 1. Lyons is number 2. I mean, pick your poison, I guess. I think that if Wayne played Lyons, that Wayne would win. It's just a hunch. I just think that they'd have trouble guarding Blankenberg with his size. I think that they'd certainly have trouble with Carmichael inside. It'd be interesting to see how Lyons was able to attack that 2-3 zone. I don't think that Wayne would try to run with Lyons. I also don't think that Lyons press would give Wayne too much trouble. So, like I say, unfortunately, we'll never see it. But for this week, voters think Wayne's 1, Lyons is 2. Geneva, all the way up to 3. That could be some people that disagree with that. But, Waterloo just lost by 17 at home, so they dropped to 4. Waterloo beat Newark, so Newark's not going to leapfrog Waterloo yet. And so it made sense to me. I was really, really impressed with Geneva against Rochester Prep, but then the way that they played Northstar Christian, an A2 school, undefeated. Obviously, we've talked about them the whole first half of the show. So Geneva, for now, back up to number 3. Marcus Whitman at 6, Gananda at 7, Naples at 8, ER at 9, and then, hey, why not Mid-Lakes at 10 after a nice weekend? Who else is going to go there, man? You should see it if you really get down past those 9. It could be 5 or 6 teams could have been in there. Could I put a Minders in there? I mean, they did beat Mid-Lakes, right? For now, Mid-Lakes back in the top 10. I didn't think we'd see them in there again for the rest of the year. We'll see where they are a couple weeks from now. But for now, in there at 10. And with Lyons losing this week, Naples is the only undefeated team on the boys' side. Girls' side, Mid-Lakes and Marion remain undefeated. So, where are we going to be? Where's Finger Lakes 1 going to be next? We're going to be in Marcus Whitman. It's the game of the year so far in the Finger Lakes West. Naples versus Marcus Whitman next Friday night. That's our next game. We always have internet troubles in that facility at Marcus Whitman, and so we're going to try to see what we can do. But that will likely be one of our first radio live broadcasts, and then restream it with video later that night. So it would probably be about a 10:30 start time for our video replay of that game, and you could listen live on FL1 radio. If something changes, we'll let you know. Obviously, just look at our front page of Finger Lakes 1 on Friday night, and you'll see if you're going to be listening to the game or watching it. Or if you can, avoid seeing what happened, watch live at 10:30, and it would be just like watching live if you're none the wiser as to who won. But that should be a great game. The Wild Wild West, always fun. Naples, Whitman, a game that could decide the Finger Lakes West title. Whitman coming off of 3 straight championships in the Finger Lakes West. I'm excited about that one. That's why we chose that one. We could have done Waterloo, Geneva, and Waterloo. We've seen a lot of Waterloo and Geneva so far this year. So we're going out west Friday night, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be myself and Kevin Sharp calling that one. So looking forward to that for sure. What else do we got here for you? And coming up next week, we got some basketball games. Again, like I said, New Year's Eve tomorrow, Monday, New Year's Day, Tuesday, and then a short week in local basketball. For the boys, Naples will travel to Prattsburg, put their undefeated mark on the line at a really good Prattsburg team before heading to Whitman on Friday night for the game on Finger Lakes 1. Thursday, Lions at Clyde Savannah. We're not doing that's the first Lions-Clyde game we have not done in 3 or 4 years, but honestly, that's a 20, maybe 25 point spread, and Lions being favorite. We'll see if we can get the return matchup at the Atwood when Clyde plays Lions. But again, one of the reasons we did the flex scheduling this year, instead of announcing our full schedule all at once, is we wanted to be able to pivot and do games like Naples at Whitman if we wanted to, instead of Lions at Clyde this year. It's kind of shocking to me that we're not going to be there because we always are, but Clyde proves me wrong and makes a game out of it, then I'll be kicking myself, because that would be a wild scene. But I think it's going to be a great scene in Whitman on Friday night. Romulus is at Bloomfield. The Romulus boys are improved. Bloomfield, I thought, was going to be a little better after seeing them beat South Seneca. They've struggled a bit. We'll see if they can turn it around. Friday night, Midlakes is at Wayne. So you just saw Midlakes at 10th in the power rankings. They're going to be playing number 1 Wayne. Probably 15-point underdogs in that one. We'll see if they can shock the world. Everybody in the East looking for Wayne to lose a game. See if they can lose a game and open things up a bit. Newark's at Penn Yan. Good, tough test for the Reds. Big opportunity for Penn Yan. Minders is at Palmac. Geneva's at Waterloo. That's a big game in the East, and that was a tough decision, like I said, not to be there for that one. Would be really interested to see if Waterloo can bounce back from that loss to Odyssey, and if Geneva can kind of continue their forward momentum in league play. That's a big one. And I mentioned Naples at Whitman, of course, on Finger Lakes 1. On the girls' side, Wednesday night, Ganonda's traveling to Red Creek. Geneva at Midlakes. Real interesting game here, too. And we haven't had the Midlakes girls on yet, but we will, believe me. Second half, we'll get some looks at the Midlakes girls. This is a big game for Ed Collins and his Geneva Panthers and Nate Rich and the Screaming Eagles. A lot of people assume they're going to go undefeated. We'll see how they do in East play. Friday night, Waterloo's at Geneva. So Geneva playing Wednesday, Friday. South Seneca's at Honeoye. Wayne at Midlakes, too, on Friday. So Midlakes, all of a sudden, it's time to play some basketball. Wednesday, Friday, a couple tough games against big, in terms of size, schools in the Finger Lakes East. And Wayne, if you remember on those girls' power rankings, were right up there as well in the top 5. So big-time matchup Friday night at Midlakes. Palmac at Minders. Test for Minders. Palmac first, second. I mean, they're a contender for the East. It's a real test for Minders to win at home, to host Palmac at home. The Whitman girls are at Naples. Penn Yan's at Newark. Romulus is at Bloomfield. Romulus girls starting to I guess command a little bit of attention here, as maybe they can be a team that could bring home another sectional title to Romulus. So it'll be interesting to see how they do at Bloomfield. I think we're going to be at Romulus for South Seneca at Romulus 2 weeks from now on a Thursday night to live stream that one. And then Red Jacket girls at Dundee. So we have about, 10 minutes here. Before we go any further, I would very much like to reiterate that we want you to get interactive with us this year. Call the Upstate Hoops hotline to be part of the next episode. Call 866-315-FLX1. That's 866-315-3591. Once the phone picks up, hit extension 803. Leave your first name, where you're calling from, and then your message, your question. We want to... I want to hear some of your opinions. I want you to give me something to talk about here. Ask question, give your take, and then I'll respond to it here on the podcast. Again, that's 866-315-FLX1. And then always remember to, you can reach out to us or hit us up on Twitter at FingerLakes1, or you can use the hashtag FL1Sports. Whew. So, bold predictions for 2019 as we wind down 2018. We are living in the future. One bold prediction I have for you. Geneva boys will finish second in the Finger Lakes East. I think that's a bold prediction. I don't know how many other people would have Geneva second, but from what I see, they are better than they're given credit for. I think because of the low-scoring defensive games that people assume that maybe they're not as talented as some of the other teams in the East, like Newark, for example. But I think that's by design, and I think that the junior class for this team is getting better, and as they move forward in the season, they should also continue to get better. If I'm putting my top five, my prediction for top five in the Finger Lakes East now, what it'll look like at the end of the season, I'll have Geneva number 2. So that's a bold prediction. I have more bold predictions for you. How about this? The Mid-Lakes girls will win the Finger Lakes East, but will lose 2 league games. A lot of people think I'm crazy. They went undefeated in the regular season last year, only losing 1 game in the state semifinals. They return almost everybody. They're really good. I think they got a great chance to repeat as sectional champions and a great chance, given their experience and style, to get back to the state Final Four. But they haven't been dominant. Elena Forbes and Kara Walker, Macy Kisner, they'll be favored in every game, but I don't see them going undefeated through league play. Maybe 2 games, losing 2 games might be too much, but that's a bold prediction. Mid-Lakes will lose 2 regular season games. They're currently 7-0, but still win the Finger Lakes East. Now, you might say this next prediction isn't so bold, but I have Wayne boys, Lyons boys, and Whitman boys all going undefeated in league play this year. Also, South Seneca girls undefeated in league play. So that doesn't make for a lot of good league races. I could have put Mid-Lakes in there too, but like I said, I have a feeling that they might drop a game or 2 in the East this year. We'll see how they respond if they do, or prove me wrong. Run through some sectional champs here. If I had to pick sectional champs in each of the divisions with Wayne Finger Lakes teams, I'm predicting Wayne will win A2. I think Wayne will beat Northstar Christian if that matchup happens. Much in the same way you saw Geneva give them Northstar trouble, Wayne, for the same reasons, a little stronger defense, a little more size, perhaps than Lions had in the key positions where you normally would find size. Center, Logan Blankenberg, Jaden Burley. I think Wayne wins A2 for the 3rd straight year. And that's not going to be easy. So that might be why it's a bold prediction. B1, I think Greece Odyssey repeats. Newark, Waterloo just got killed by him at home. Whether Newark or Geneva or Waterloo can maybe make that not happen, or maybe if Mid-Lakes continues to improve, maybe they could win B1. It's pretty wide open. Hornell's in there. Remember, Hornell just beat Penn Yan. Should be real interesting, but right now I think Greece Odyssey is the best team in B1. B2 with Minders and Penn Yan. I got Wellsville winning B2. Attica is the current points leader. I don't think Minders or Penn Yan, from what I've seen so far, I don't think I could pick them to even get to the finals. But a lot of time to improve over the next 2 months. Because B2 is wide open. It might be the easiest classification of it might be easier than D1. I mean, Avoca's in D1. C1, CG Finney, which they're really good. They got an 8th grader who's really, really, maybe we'll be talking about him challenging Miles Brown's scoring record in 5 years from now. But Avon and Addison are currently 1-2. So, Whitman or Geneva or ER would be our darlings. We'd love to see them make a run. And I think that one or two of those teams will be in the mix, maybe in the Blue Cross Arena. And then we'll see how they fare if they get there against a team like CG Finney or an Avon or an Addison. But right now, if I had to pick C1, I would say Finney. C2, Lyons. But Cal Mum is no joke. Cal Mum is no joke. They will challenge Lyons if given the opportunity to square off against them, whether it's in the finals or the semifinals. Remember Vinny Molisani from a couple years ago, ended an ER season as an 8th grader? Cal Mum is no joke. Alexander's currently 7-1. Dark Horse in C1 or C2. Red Jacket perhaps. But Lions in C2, the clear favorite. C3, I got Naples winning. They're undefeated right now. We'll see how they do at Marcus Whitman. Lindenville is currently number 1. The York's in there. HAC and Clyde Savannah also in C3. Maybe they could make a little run. Ryan Hilton for HAC, Cam Chance for Clyde. But I have Naples winning C3, but pretty wide open there in that one too. D1, Honeywell is the only Wayne Finger Lakes team. They're currently 10th in the D1 standings. Avoca, clear favorite there. D2, Prattsburg looks like the favorite. But Romulus currently sits in 3rd. Moving over quickly to the girls' side of things, Brockport is 8-0 in Class A. And, excuse me, I'm just doing a little housekeeping here. Pittsford Menden's currently 1 at 9-0. Wayne's in 4th place. Wayne, the only Wayne Finger Lakes team there, but certainly a contender. B1, you got to go with Mid Lakes, but Palmac and Geneva are in there too. There's some spot where we could see an all Finger Lakes East final in B1 for the girls. B2, I got Waterloo winning it. Minders, Penn Dansville's currently the number 1 seed. B1 and B2 in the girls going to be great. C1 girls, I got Gananda winning. I got a lot of Wayne Finger Lakes champions on the girls' side. Gananda currently the top seed in C1. East Rochester, Marks Whitman girls, Red Creek girls in C1 as well. C2, I got Marion. They're undefeated, but Pembroke is number 2 right behind him in the standings right now. But I got Marion winning it. Lions, Red Jacket girls. Red Jacket girls got to the finals last year. They need to get a little better. They've been a little disappointing this year. Maybe it was just that one thrashing at the hands of South Seneca. But, I got Marion C2. C3, hey, South Seneca is a team to beat. Why not? They seem to win it every year, right? Oakfield, Alabama, though, currently number 1. Keshequa, York, also some good teams in C3 that will challenge Heather Mott's Lady Falcons. D1, I got Fillmore winning. They're currently 8-0. Honeoye is in there as well. Elba in D2, but Romulus sitting at 4th in the standings. Romulus girls, man, I think that they could get interesting this year. Come sectional time for Romulus. So, hey, we're right up against it here. I've gone too far. As usual. We're not quite over our time yet. Remind you to get involved this season. Call us on our hotline that I mentioned earlier. Submit scores, photos, videos immediately following each game to scores@fingerlakes1.com. Tweet at us @fingerlakes1 or text 315-651-7500. We want, if you're in the gymnasium, send us pictures, send us scores, send us videos of last-second shots. And again, the call-in system, 866-315-3591, then extension 803 for the Upstate Hoops Podcast. And thank you for joining us for our last episode of 2018. Wait to see the fun that we're going to have in 2019. I can't wait. New Year's is coming. Sectional's not too far away. A couple of great months of basketball ahead. We're going to cover it, all along throughout the winter. So, stay tuned with us. Connect with us on Twitter @FingerLakes1. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Just click that red button below if you're watching us on YouTube. Our audio-only podcast is available on iTunes and Stitcher.com. Archived episodes are available at FingerLakes1.tv. And this podcast airs weekly on Finger Lakes TV Spectrum Channel 1304. You can also find our show, live stream games, and local news, weather and sports 24/7 on the free FingerLakes1.com Android or iPhone app. Thanks for joining us. Have a happy new year. We'll see you Friday night in Marcus Whitman.